again, or you can also share it with your colleagues and committee members. We'll be posting the contact information for each artist in the chat section of Zoom, but you can also find links to the artist websites on the Morris Arts website, which is www.morrisarts.org. If you have questions for the artist, please use the Q&A section, and then we will make sure that the artist sees that question before they conclude their presentation. I'm going to share my screen now and introduce our schedule for the day. Let me just bring that up. Pardon my delay here. And today's lineup is we're going to be starting with Queen Noor, storyteller, who will be followed by the number drummer. We will then be hearing from Living Voices, and then Zentangle with Mimi Topping, followed by Histories Alive with Patrick Garner. I just want to bring up our first performer of the day, which is going to be Queen Noor, and tell you a little bit about her. Here's a quote from Queen Noor. I am a storyteller steeped in the African oral tradition. I tell stories so we do not forget, to sustain what is good, and hope for a wiser tomorrow. In her virtual program, Sweet Potato Pie and Such, Queen Noor presents a flavorful seasoning of tales from the African and African American oral tradition that will ground you in tradition, butter you up with joy, and delightfully sweeten your mind. Designed for audiences to participate, celebrate, and jubilate, values are indelibly remembered through lively folktales, fables, and fairy tales. Grades K to 6 are the proper audiences for this particular program, and her other virtual programs include the Bully Free Zone, and they put a stamp on it. Please welcome Queen Noor.
Sweet potatoes, sweet potatoes, buy my sweet potatoes, they're the best sweet potatoes in town. Oh, bake 'em up, sugar 'em on down, sweet potatoes. Get it by the bushel, or buy it by the pound. No sweet potato like this around. A best sweet potato up on the block. Or bake it up, cook it down, butter it high. Sweet potatoes, they're good for Ma, they're good for Pa. I tell you, they're good for my brother-in-law. Sweet potatoes, get it by the bushel, or buy it by the pound. Take my note, go out and vote, and come home and get some sweet potatoes. Yes, thank you. It is so wonderful to be here with you this afternoon on this very auspicious day for our nation and always for the arts. Our programs can come to you in 3 ways. You know, storytelling never stops. So virtually, 1, we can come to you live virtually, and we can stream to you as well live virtually. Just as well, we pre-record. And we also, if you think that the students just had too much screen time, we can come to you through a podcast or on audio. So we want to share a taste of a story of when we come live. And this story takes place in the savannah. There was a little mouse, and her name was Imani. Now, Imani, she didn't live in the savannah all by herself. She lived there with a lot of other animals. But those other animals, they teased Imani. That's not right, is it? Well, guess who would tease Imani first? Ask me who. You have to say who. Ask me who. Who? Yes, ask me again. Who? It was the monkey. And the monkey would say, Imani, you so teeny, so teeny, so teeny. think that bothered Imani? No! Imani, she would just sing her song. They might call me teeny tiny, but in my mind I'm mighty, mighty. They might call me teeny tiny, but in my mind I'm mighty, mighty. Come on, everybody, do the motions with me, sing the song with me. They might call me teeny tiny, but in my mind I'm mighty, mighty. They might call me teeny tiny, but in my mind I'm mighty, mighty. And Imani, she would go on about her business. Now Imani was so little that she would take her little teeny tiny feet and she would run up the anthill, and then she'd sit at top and slide down the anthill. But when she got to the bottom, there was another animal standing there teasing Imani. Ask me who? Who? Ask me who? Who? It was the hippopotamus with his wide mouth and his blubbery lips. And he was saying, Imani, you're so tiny. Are you a little bitty, itty bitty, teeny tiny? Imani, you're so tiny. Are you a little bitty, itty bitty, teeny tiny? You think that bothered Imani? Oh no, you're so right. Imani, she would just sing her song. They might call me teeny tiny, but in my mind I'm mighty, mighty. They might call me teeny tiny, but in my mind I'm mighty, mighty. Sing it again, do the motions with me. They might call me teeny tiny, but in my mind I'm mighty, mighty. And Imani, she went on about her business. Now, many of you know that if we were to continue to tell that story, it is Aesop's fable of the lion and the mouse, but only we do it our way. And to hear the rest of it, I hope we get to come into your school. Now we want to share just a little bit with you, and we'll share our screen on how we bring it to you if you pre-record. And this is a different story. This is put a little bit of put a stamp on it. Here you go. They put a stamp on it. They put a stamp on it. They put a stamp on it. Stamp, 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 stamp. They put a stamp on it. They put a stamp on it. They put a stamp on it. Stamp, 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 stamp. History makers who talk that talk. We're talking sheroes and heroes who walk that walk. Because they put a stamp on it. They put a stamp on it. They put a stamp on it. Stamp, 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 stamp. They put a stamp on it. They put a stamp on it. They put a stamp on it. And even when you want to invite somebody to your birthday party and you want to do it by mail, what will you do? You'll put a stamp on it. Yes. But African Americans, Black people, weren't put on a postage stamp until 1940. And the first to be put on a stamp was Booker T. Washington. When Booker T. Washington was 10 years old, he really wanted to learn. But he was born in captivity, an enslaved African. So now, if your parents need to mail a bill, they can use Booker T. Washington because they can put a stamp on it. Put a stamp on it, stamp, stamp, put a stamp on it, stamp, stamp. Mama put a hand on her right hip. Mama put a hand on her left hip. And she called her third child, Ujima. And Ujima came quick, fast, and lickety-split. And Ujima said, family, if we work together collectively, we can pull that sweet potato up. And so the Kwanzaa family, they started pulling on that tater. And Pa was pulling on the tater, Harambe. Ma was pulling on the tater, Harambe. Umoja was pulling on the tater, Harambe. Kuchakli was pulling on the tater, Harambe. Ujima was pulling on the tater, Harambe. But that sweet potato, it still did not come up. So Mama put her hand on her right hip. She put her hand on her left hip. She let her backbone slip. Come on, do that with me. Mama put her hand on her right hip. She put her hand on her left hip. She let her backbone slip. So now, if you want to send a birthday card or a holiday card, what can you do with it? You can put a stamp on it. Put a stamp on it. So, we would like to know if you have any questions for us that we can answer for you. That stamp rendition has many different stamps in between. That was the first stamp and the last stamp that we present in this series. But are there any questions for us for right now?
I don't see any yet in the chat, so I'm assuming schools do ask you questions about your program.
Yes. Yes. So again, we customize, like for instance, the sweet potato pie series, we customize from K to 5, and we can go up to 8th grade, and we will customize the stories for you, whether we do it pre-recorded or whether we do it live or audio. And just as well, I'll leave a link in the chat for a free program that you can get on social emotional learning that's available until Saturday. It was the Free Library of Philadelphia, and we did that program this weekend. It was an hour program, so hopefully you'll watch that as well, and you'll get a little bit more of Queen Noor and Dwight James. And if you ever have any questions, just reach out to us.
That was terrific, Queen Noor. Thank you so much.
Oh,
We really appreciate that.
thank you, thank you, thank you, audience.
Great.
Hope to see you.
Okay, I'm now going to share my screen, and we're going to bring up our next performer for the day. And that presenter is the number drummer. Oh, let me see what we have a little technical difficulty here. Let me go back to my screen. And I will try that one more time. My apologies for the delay here. Just one moment, please hang with us here. I'm not quite sure why that's happening, but I'm sure we'll be able to sort it out in just a second. Well, I'm unable to start that right now. So
I shared it, Barbara.
thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. All right. Our next presenter today is the number drummer, and his program is the Math Machine Virtual Assembly. Did you know a drum set is a math machine? Did you know you can drum addition and multiplication? Want to hear what algebra sounds like? Ready to drum up 10 cups and 48 fluid ounces? It is time to see, hear, and feel the sweet sound of math using body percussion, snap, pat, clap, and stomp, real instruments, drums or keyboards, or other creative materials, bucket, boxes, etc. Students will experience relationships between numbers and connections between math skills and concepts. Math and music will never look the same again. And this program is suited for grades K through 5. Please welcome the number drummer.
Hey, everybody. So thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you, Morris Arts. What a privilege it is to be a part of this teaching family here of teaching artists. So this is so cool. I'm so excited to share with you all about the Number Drummer virtual program called The Math Machine. So those of you that have never had me in your schools before, my name is Troy and I am a musician and I worked in education I've been working in education for over 20 years. I was a classroom teacher for 13. I worked in curriculum and instruction for a couple of years, and I've done professional development and have done some stuff with university students as well. So the classroom and working with your students is where I am super duper comfortable and just, I love teaching. So what I want to do is show you exactly what this virtual program kind of looks like. So those of you that have had me live in your schools, when students come in the room, every single student gets an instrument, everybody's performing, the whole room is just rocking. But now what does it look like? So I'm going to show you a couple of short videos. One I call the Kapow video, and then the other one will give you kind of a idea of what the actual virtual program looks like, what students experience. And then after that, you have questions. You can shoot those questions in the Q&A. And then I'm also going to kind of give you the top 3 that I've been asked the most. And there's one that I get asked like 3 times a day. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen and give you a chance to kind of see these couple of videos. All right, I'm going to fire away.
Hear all this.
All right, that's the first little video. And then this next one here will give you an idea of what the process looks like. And I think I lost my share here for a second. Let me pop this back up. Here we go. Here is video number 2 here.
Time for a sneak peek into the new virtual experience from Number Drummer, the Math Machine. You'll discover how a drum set is a math machine. Now, you get to make choices. You get to decide. And whether you're at home or at school, you get to play along. Now you give it a try. Here we go. Would you like to choose the kick or a trash can? Excellent choice. Here we go. Now remember, you can play along with drums, sticks, or body percussion like clap, pat, or stomp. Well done. Time for a connection. Now this is what the kick drum played. 16 pieces. That's right. That's nothing but fractions. Now those 16 sixteenths are the same as 8 eighths. And 8 eighths are the same as 4 fourths. And 4 fourths are the same as 2 halves, which are equal to 1 whole. That's right. The whole thing was 16 pieces of kick drum. That's nothing but fractions. But there's more where that came from, so stay connected for more sneak peeks or visit numberdrummer.com to schedule your own virtual experience.
So there you have it. There's a couple little snapshots for you of what the program looks like. So I'm going to quickly take a look here. I don't see anything in the Q&A, but that's okay because let me give you my top 3. So number 1 question I've been asked by far is how does the engagement look now when it's virtual? Because of course before every single student would have an instrument in their hands. So really you can be as practical or as elaborate as you want. So of course the engagement now is left up to you, moms and dads at home, or schools if this is happening in the classroom, say through the smart board or within that kind of setting. So let's start with students at home. First of all, you have everything at your disposal. So if you want to use a real instrument like a drum set, cajon, congas, guitar, piano, trumpet, violin, every single instrument can be used. So all these instruments behind me that you see, that's the real deal. It's not just a poster of instruments. Those are all my instruments that I would travel around with and integrate into the program. So you can use anything. But of course, you can use everything around you as well. Pencils, sticks, a cardboard box works awesome. So if Amazon's been at your house, you have an instrument, and then after you're done drumming on it, into recycling it goes. So it works great as well. So students at school, in the classroom, what's so great about this experience is because now with the social distancing and everything, you have everything you need right in front of you. And the great part is you don't have to say a word either. So you can just use body percussion, you can clap, you can stomp, you can pat, or you can use your pencils, you can tap on a book. The neat thing about doing this virtual session called the Math Machine is you are learning how all the different parts of the drum set are built, and they're using nothing but math. And every single part of that drum set is a piece of math. Is that not awesome? So you have a choice. The other cool part, besides choosing instruments, you also get a chance to choose, how hard do I want to make this for myself? Do I want to challenge myself today? Do I want to master one thing first? You can play all three parts at the same time if you want. So with body percussion, you can stomp like you're kicking the kick drum. You can clap like you're going to be doing that snare drum. You can pat your lap like if it's going to be or snare or hi-hat. So whatever you want to do. And again, if you have real instruments, you can use those as well. So everything that you have there can be used. And if you want to kick back and absorb, you can do that as well. The other neat thing about this whole experience is all of the math is targeted for your grade level. If you're talking about a large group, if you're talking K5, K2, even 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I know Barbara mentioned I really do focus most on K5, but I work with 6th grade as well. Probability, algebra, ratios, that is a sweet spot for number drumming. So, which leads me to my second question I get asked a lot, and that is, what kind of groupings do you recommend? So traditionally, just like before, K2, 3, 5, because the cool part about a number drummer experience is the math. It works for the math targets every single group. So if you're looking at drumming, that math, it could look like algebra for one person, and it could look like fractions for another, or it could just look like counting. So you'll see how all math is connected as well. So that's the other awesome thing about it. So, and then the one thing that I've been asked the most this year is to do grade level sessions. So something I'm offering now, and you can connect with me and I can tell you more about it. They are sessions designed for every single grade level. And so because I've taught all the way from K up, I feel really confident and really comfortable with the curriculum and with your state standards. So teachers in a grade level can say, hey, you know what, this would be great. We're doing fractions in the month of December, or we're doing algebra in the month of March, and every grade level can have it tailored for them. So, hey, you have something that you can actually use for your kids that is, targets what you're teaching, that goes along with your pacing guide. The other question, I wrote this down as well because I did not want to forget to tell you. So the other neat thing about the virtual performance is students get to, it's not only is it interactive in the sense of playing an instrument, but you also get a chance to interact with the screen. So when I do one-to-one kind of stuff, you actually can touch the screen and actually choose the instrument as you saw from that demo. But when it's a large group, how on earth does that work? So I use some of the features within, of course, in Zoom, the polling feature and things like that help determine what instruments are chosen that help create our drum set. So there's that element as well. And so please know that, hey, you got questions, you have customizations that you require, please don't hesitate to connect with me. One last look, hey, no questions still, but hey, I hope I hear from you. Again, what a privilege it is to offer this program to you, to be a part of the Morris Arts, and the other artists that are with me today to do this. What a privilege it is to see their programs. Wow. So thank you so much, Barbara. And thank you so much, Tom. And thank you, Morris Arts and teachers, schools in New Jersey. Hope I get a chance to virtually visit you this year. All right, guys, take care.
Thank you, Troy. We appreciate that, and we're all very excited about math as a result. I am now going to come back. Okay, I'm going to start my video. I am now going to come back and share my screen to introduce our next presenters. And our next presenters of the day are Living Voices. And Living Voices combine dynamic solo performances with archival film and sound, turning history into a moving and personal journey. Each virtual program includes a historical introduction with PowerPoint slides to provide background information and prepare students for the presentation. Students will see a filmed live performance of a teaching artist interacting with archival film, edited for maximum impact for an emotional experience of dynamic theater. A post-show PowerPoint that further examines the historical content is included, and an optional live Q&A session with a Living Voices teaching artist is also available. Today, we're going to see part of our revolution, and where we learn about the revolution from African Americans' unique point of view. And this program is recommended for grades 4 and up. Please welcome Living Voices.
Hi, my name is Rachel McClinton, and I'm the Artistic Director of Living Voices. It's my real honor to be here to introduce and share the program. So thank you, Barbara, and everyone with Morris Arts. Living Voices, all of our programs combine live theater and film. So now through our virtual program, you'll still see that live connection to theater and the actor, and they'll be still interacting with archival footage. We began with a program on the life of Anne Frank and Holocaust education, and now we have 12 diverse programs. And today we are going to focus on the performance of our revolution. Like I said, all of our programs begin with an introduction to create a historical foundation for the story and the journey, and we follow up with a discussion and exploration. But with no further ado, I'd like to share scenes from our revolution. So I'll be sharing the screen, and hopefully I'll get there easily. And this one, the black box, and share.
Did you do the?
Yes, I did. Hello, my name is Rachel McClinton. I'm the Artistic Director of Living Voices. Living Voices is an educational theater company that combines archival film footage and live performance to bring life to history. Our programs are shared everywhere, and even though we can't always do live performances, our programs are now available as a filmed experience. We have many different stories and themes, but they each bring an individual performer to tell their story.
It becomes our rallying cry, our way of standing up for ourselves.
She really does look like she's there just to greet us. Viva la huelga!
Also, we can have live discussions with the artists in a virtual format, so we can have a conversation just like we would after a live performance. Now, let's take a look at some performance samples.
Next morning, Father arranges for Mama to go to work at Wright's Tavern.
Mr. Wright will give you room and board, Mary.
And Father and I will go join the Continental Blockade.
You want me to live at Wright's Tavern like one of his slaves.
And what about our farm?
That is why we must needs do this. Look what they did to our home. 'Tis our fight too now.
It seemed that every militia had taken place in Boston. I was glad not to be the only boy who came alongside his father.
10,000 men here, Peter, and we must be the bravest.
Yes, sir. Those 10,000 men put us boys to work, carrying wood, carrying water, digging. Walls, trenches, anything to keep our camp safe from the redcoats.
Muster on the common. As soon as darkness falls, we climb Breed's Hill.
Now on Breed's Hill, we dug from midnight till dawn. By sunup, we were hungry, thirsty, exhausted, but we had a fort.
The lobsterbacks are coming across the river. Fight like hellhounds.
No matter how many redcoats fell, there's more to take their places.
We need more ammunition.
Gotta take powder and bullets from the dead and give them to the men still fighting. Musket balls fall like rain.
Peter, help.
Father, you've been hit. So many men killed or wounded that day. I take Father back to Concord to heal.
No more forts and trenches. As soon as I am well, we start rebuilding.
I go to work alongside my mom at Mr. Wright's tavern. One day, Mr. Wright's slave Nancy comes to us.
Mary, I got some news about your William. He got stolen off ship and sold south.
Well, he can't be sold. He's a free man.
'Tis no matter, Peter.
But
to those privateers, black skin means pound sterling.
I did not know how to make sense of what had happened to William. What with all the talk I was hearing in the tavern.
Have you seen this pamphlet, Common Sense? He wants full independence for the colonies.
I take it up and I read the whole thing.
We have it in our power to begin the world over again. A race of men
are to receive their portion of freedom. Race of men, Americans. That summer, we hear the Declaration of Independence.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
That all men are created equal.
That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
And that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Those words are for white men, Peter. They're not meant for us.
Why, Mama? If we fight for liberty too, how can they leave us out of it?
We cannot let them, Peter. 'Tis time for us to join the fight again.
Yeah, but what about our house?
We are at war now. There will be time to build when we are all free.
Living Voices brings diverse stories to life. Our goal is to tell many perspectives in an individual way, from the Holocaust to the imprisonment of Japanese Americans during World War II. We look at the struggle for equality, for the vote. Stories like Native Vision, the Native American boarding schools, as well as the Code Talkers. We celebrate immigration, individual and inspiring stories. At a time of uncertainty, we can learn from history. Journey from the Dust takes one person's perspective on the Great Depression. And when it comes to making a change, La Causa shares one young person's struggle to make a difference for herself, for her family, for her community. Living Voices hopes to inspire people to make a change for the future. To learn more about the dynamic stories of Living Voices and how we can share them with you, please go to our website, livingvoices.org, or you can call us directly, 1-800-331-5716, and we're looking forward to sharing history with you.
What's going on? Can I get rid of this?
Rachel, you can just start. Oh, there you are.
Two heads were not better than one. Do I need to push anything or just where I need to be?
You are just where you need to be, and you can tell us more about the program, or
yeah.
I don't see any questions in the Q&A. So are there questions schools typically ask you?
Well, I think what's really important to know is when we share the programs live, we're very flexible, where we can present everywhere for large groups in auditoriums or theaters or classrooms or library programs. And similarly in the virtual world, when our filmed productions are made available, we really want to make them accessible in basically two ways. Schools can take that filmed experience with an introduction, performance, and post-show exploration, and students could share it at home with their families or during class time live. And sometimes schools have brought in the live Q&A right after the performance, almost recreating the live experience of a performance segueing into the Q&A discussion with the artist. We like to share screen and use PowerPoint images to keep things visual and interesting. And I think what's also important to note is how our programs have a range of grades as well. We have a program on Ellis Island, which we can go as young as first grade, and then programs of intensity like our civil rights story and our Anne Frank program, where they may be more appropriate for junior high, high school audiences, or any student that has a background in the subject. So again, we try to make sure the history enriches and connects to the curriculum. They can be standalone, but they also work really well in terms of reinforcing the standards and curriculum of the school.
Thank you.
Were there any questions? Yeah, I'm sorry.
We didn't see any other questions in the Q&A, but thank you so much for joining us today. And the presentation was great, very inspiring.
Thank you for having us, and everyone be well. Thank you.
That was wonderful. I'm now going to share my screen again so that we can introduce our next presenter. And her name is Mimi Topping, and the subject matter and her art form is an art form called Zentangle. And the Zentangle method is very easy to learn. It's relaxing, and it's a fun way to create beautiful images by drawing structured patterns. It was an art form created by Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas. And it's a very unique way to create beautiful works of art that requires no drawing skill. Really, anyone can do it. It's a very meditative way of drawing, and it helps students to learn a concrete skill for reducing stress and anxiety by focusing on one pen stroke at a time. In a Zentangle workshop, students will be able to create surprisingly beautiful works in a mindful way. In the virtual workshop, students will be taught up to 5 patterns in a customized 75-minute class. Please now welcome Mimi Topping.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here today to share with you my favorite method of teaching art, Zentangle. And thanks, Barbara, you pretty much summed up all the things I was going to say in my intro. So I think what I'm going to do next, since this, you've heard the phrase, a picture tells 1,000 words. So my best way of telling you about my program is really just to show you. So here we go. We'll jump right in. In a kindergarten through 2nd grade Zentangle class, students will use larger tools and larger shapes to work on. Students often notice, before I even get a chance to point it out to them, that there are no erasers on their pencils. And I explain to them that there are no mistakes in Zentangle. This is a very freeing concept, and it gives the kids confidence to try something new and different. I ask the class about shapes and what kind of shapes that they like to draw. Then we practice drawing those shapes, and we practice shading on scrap paper. Students in these younger grades will either learn 2 patterns on one shape or 1 pattern on 2 separate shapes. Puzzle pieces are a lot of fun to pattern on. They make a really cool class piece, and they're a universal shape so that they connect with each other on any side. So let me quick demonstrate a couple of really fun patterns that are quite popular in the K-2 set. I created these patterns because they use very simple and familiar shapes with a little added twist. And let me say, students learn so much more than just creating beautiful images. They're learning terms such as logo, shaders, techniques in shading. They're even learning math skills like division, splitting up our spaces and shapes. They also firsthand learn about the side benefits to this meditative style of pattern drawing. And they demonstrate an increased level of focus while drawing. These funny little trees were part of a customized class, and this picture shows you the kind of customization that I put into my workshops. The school chose to use their wonderful and wonky little trees from their logo as their shaped tile. As much as I wish that we could be learning in person together, there are some added benefits to the virtual classes. As also noticed by artist Brent Daniels, who was previously showcased by Morris Arts, I too find that my virtual programs give students an opportunity to better see my instructions up close and in real time. We had so much fun in these classes, and I learned a lot from teaching these young and enthusiastic students. Some of my classes consisted of ESL students, And since my workshops are based so much on visual instruction, any possible language barriers were really no barriers at all. As a matter of fact, we all learned together new terms for our tools and the patterns that we were using. Here is a picture of their finished work. It's an incredible group piece for the school to display, and what fantastic artwork created by over 100 kindergartners. Custom themes are great because they can support a particular curriculum that the students might be learning, or in this case, give the students a real sense of pride in their school. I enjoy creating custom shapes and themes, and the ideas are limitless. Students in grades 3 through 5 will use a finer marker and learn up to 4 patterns on either a traditional square or a shaped tile. While drawing just one pattern and one pen stroke at a time, students experience a relaxed and mindful focus. Some have likened Zentangle drawing to yoga for the mind. And like yoga, to get the best benefits, you really do need to do it more than once. The same thing goes for Zentangle. It gets more amazing the more you do it. Meditative drawing becomes a positive outlet, and it draws you in. Students actually start noticing patterns all around them, and they want to try to put them into their drawings. They have the confidence to break those patterns down into the basic pen strokes that I've demonstrated. Simple pen strokes are the building block to all patterns. Students discover firsthand that just drawing one pattern at a time and literally focusing on just one pen stroke at a time, they can give their minds some much-needed breathing space. The pictures you see are group pieces from 4th graders. The workshops that we did were part of an all-school art day. The students did fantastic work and the shapes were so much fun to work on. Themes can be modified for any age group, and they can be customized for your class. These seasonal themes are a lot of fun and make impressive displays for class-wide or school-wide projects. A prime example is this little holly sprig. Picture how cool each student's individual work would look put together as a group piece, which then also underscores how each individual is an integral part of the whole school community. Students in grades 6 and up are able to work with even finer tools, using a graphic artist-style pen, and they'll learn more complex patterns on many different shapes, including mandalas, or as I like to say, zendalas. Classes here can also explore adding color to their tiles, as well as experiment with the unlimited possibilities of patterning within a pattern. The lovely pandas you see here were created by 10th graders, and they were from a very special class. First, because it was the last class that I taught in person just before the pandemic, and second, it was a class that I volunteered for when asked by a school to come as part of a counseling team to help students deal with grief. I specifically chose the image of a panda for them to work with because this animal symbolizes quiet strength. I was honored to help these courageous students learn a fun and peaceful method of self-care. Speaking of self-care and the amazing benefits of Zentangle drawing, besides the beautiful little works of art that are created, I would like to address our wonderful teachers, staff, and administrators. Over the years, I've had the privilege of teaching Zentangle workshops to many faculty at staff retreats and in-services, as well as teaching team-building workshops for businesses and self-care days for nurses and social workers. One of the things that always stands out most to me during these workshops is that as adults, somewhere along the way, we've lost the sense that we are artists. If you get to experience Zentangle in one of my workshops, or perhaps somewhere else, you will rediscover that you are very much an artist. It's of course important and helpful for you as teachers to understand how meditative drawing can benefit your students, but it is of equal importance that as teachers, you can experience these benefits as well. If there was ever a better time to explore a healthy self-care outlet to help reduce stress and anxiety, it's now. Having worked many years at a psychiatric hospital and rehab, I've been able to see firsthand how Zentangle is way more than just a uniquely cool art form. I have tremendous respect for all our frontline workers during this pandemic, and this includes you. If you're interested in having a Zentangle workshop for your faculty, staff, or admin, please reach out and let me know. I'd be honored to teach you.
Hello again.
You're back with us, Mimi. We can see you. So
Okay, did you hear the video? Because I saw something pop up on my screen.
we could hear the entire video. It was
Fantastic. Well, thanks for watching. And Barbara and Tom, thank you so much for supporting me and all these fantastic artists. I have to mention, I noticed Queen Noor, you rock, and your dress, your orange dress is completely covered in a Zentangle pattern that I teach. So it's kind of funny. And Troy, I think I got better at math just watching you. And Rachel, thanks for bringing history to life. So it's wonderful to see everybody's program. I don't see any questions down here, but something I do get asked is about the supplies. Sometimes people are wondering where they get the supplies for the students, etc. I supply all of the supplies that you need for class, and I'm happy to deliver them to your school or your class facilitator, usually about a week before the program, especially if you are a remote school or your students are partial remote. This gives you time to distribute them to your students. So again, thank you so much for watching. And unless there's anything else, Barbara, I guess I'll let the next.
No, that's it. That's terrific.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you
Take care,
so much.
everybody. Stay well.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for the work that you do. I'm going to share my screen again now so that I can introduce our next presenter. This gentleman's name is Patrick Garner, and his program is called History's Alive. Broadway alumnus Patrick Garner brings history to life for elementary school students. His unique rapport with children, his ability to draw life lessons from history, and his knack for entertaining and students and faculty alike have made him an annual visitor at many schools in our area. His programs include Edison, Lewis and Clark, Franklin, and Houdini, and his programs are geared for grades K through 6. Please welcome Mr. Patrick Garner. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, am I there yet?
Yep. Well,
good. I couldn't see myself for a while. Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Patrick Garner, Patrick Garner's History's Alive. And first of all, I want to thank you for coming by today, but I really want to thank you for staying for the very end of the program. Now, I know your time is very, very valuable, so I want to show you a little video that has clips of my show and give you a feel for the show and what it's about. And I'll come back at the end of the show and we can talk just a little bit more about it. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Edison Show. Hey everybody, Patrick Garner here. Patrick Garner's History's Alive. Well, welcome to the new school year. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. School shows and assemblies are going virtual. Now some might see that as a problem. No, that's an opportunity. As Thomas Edison said, there's always a better way to do something. All you have to do is find it. And with that in mind, I'd like to show you some of the things I've come up with for our Thomas Edison Show, the virtual Thomas Edison Show. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Wayback Room, using technology pioneered by Mr. Peabody and his boy Sherman back in the early 1960s. And today, we're going to go way back in time to visit Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, the Wizard of Menlo Park. This guy pretty much invented the last century. So, you ready? Here we go. Welcome to West Orange, New Jersey, home of Thomas Edison Enterprises. I'm Thomas Edison. And this is my private library where I greet very important visitors just like you. Whenever I say the word mistake, the machine will make a noise. Yeah? I'll demonstrate for you. Mistake. There are none as long as you learn from them. Mistake. There are none as long as you learn from them. You know, I was walking down the street the other day, I ran into a mistake, and the mistake said to me, I said mistake. I started scribbling furiously. I called out, "Mr. Ott, come to me, please!" And Mr. Ott ran into the room. I said Mr. Ott ran into the room. I started scribbling furiously. I called out, "Mr. Ott, come to me, please!" And Mr. Ott ran into the room. I gave Mr. Ott a piece of paper. I said, "Take this piece of paper to our machinist. He'll build this machine for you, and the machine will talk to you." Mr. Ott said, "Oh my!"
Oh my!
He grabbed the piece of paper from my hand, and he ran from the room, lighting the first carbonized cotton thread filament light bulb. I was just kidding you. Yeah. Well, at Edison Laboratories, we work hard and we play hard. I want you to cut the biggest hole in that card you can. I want you to cut a hole in that card so big that I can go through it. Sounds impossible. Pretty big, huh? But can I go through it? Okay, here we are, back in the library right where we started. Now listen, I'm gonna have to ask you guys to leave. I got some pretty high muckety mucks coming in here. They want to invest in my next invention. So I'm gonna have a little meeting with them. You've been terrific. And remember, no matter what, remember those 4 lessons, okay? Lesson number 1, work hard and play hard. Lesson number 3, oh no, I made a mistake. There are none, as long as you learn from it. Lesson number 3 is really look at your problems from a different angle. And finally, lesson number 4, we didn't do lesson number 4. Lesson number 4, it's the most important one. It's the one that's easiest to forget. Lesson number 4 is find something you love to do in your life and make sure you do it your whole life long. All right, you got the 4 lessons. It's been great to meet you. Take care of yourself. Best of luck to you, and I hope you overcome all your challenges. Remember, you've been doing a heck of a job. I don't know if you realize it, but no one has ever learned this way before. You guys are pioneers, and you're doing great. You know, Thomas Edison also said, the surest way to succeed is to always try just one more time. So keep trying. You're doing great. And we'll see you on the other side of this thing. Hey, maybe next year in person. Okay? Hey, did that come through?
Yes, that was terrific.
Oh, I was looking at a blank screen here. I'm so glad it came up.
No,
Okay.
yeah, it was terrific. And now we can see you on full screen.
Fantastic. I wish I could see you on you. All right. Now, so that's the show. The show focuses on the 4 lessons of Thomas Edison, and we use Thomas Edison's life and his inventions to illustrate each one of those points. The shows are 45 minutes long. There's a pre-show packet that's sent out 2 weeks before the show. Spent a lot of time on this, making it something that the kids will actually use. There are questions, there are quotes, there are pictures, and there are plans so that your students can make their very own phonograph. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So, well, I got to put my glasses back on. So also there's a teacher's guide. We spent a lot of time on that so that they're actually really good teacher's guides. That's not just yes and no questions, they're discussion starters. And we send them out on Google Docs so your teachers can edit them and access the links that are in the documents right away. And then there's a post-show packet that they can hand out later, and that's got puzzles and stuff, and also books and websites that the kids can go to learn more about Thomas Edison. There's a question and answer period, which is live streamed, and the teachers run that. And let me see, I got my question and answer screen up there. Let's see what we got. Anybody asking anything? No, nobody's asking anything yet. So let me ask something that everybody asked me. Why are we taping the shows this year? Well, there's some very, very good reasons. First and foremost, I'm not the tech wizard I present to be on screen. Okay, I think you figured that out by watching my presentation today. Okay, this takes all the technical problems out of there. Also, I can use cinema techniques that I couldn't possibly use if I was live streaming. All the rooms you saw me in, those were actual rooms in Thomas Edison's laboratories. They're museums now and they're all closed. So I got to put you in the room using virtual backgrounds. Kids can share the videos. They watch the video at school, they come home and they say, Dad, Mom, you got to see this. This is really good. And you can sit down and watch it again. You have access to the video for 5 days on Zoom. So they can share with your parents, with their siblings. If a kid is late coming in, he's not late, he just starts at the beginning, backs it up. Kid's sick, he can come in and he's got 5 days to catch up. If he likes a part of the show he missed, he can go back and watch it again. If you have a staggered schedule in your schools, this works perfectly for that because half your class can watch it one day, half your school can watch it the next day. Staggered classes is a good answer. But really, the foremost, the real reason I want to do that is for your students' safety. Now, I was watching a showcase last week, and one of the people said, you're not allowed to see our kids. We don't want you to have their names. And I don't need them. I shouldn't have them. I've been doing live shows in schools for almost 20 years now. I've never had a school that wants us to take pictures or use their kids' names, post them online. That's a breach of security. We want your kids to stay safe. That's the most important thing. So here, I don't ever see their faces. I don't even need their names. When we do the Q&A, I ask a teacher to run that. So the teacher can tell me what the kids' questions are or call the kids out by first name. I don't need their names. I can't see their names. I can't see names in those little tiny tiles when I got 20 kids up on the screen. So that's for your kids' security. That's why we're taping the shows this year. Now, at the end of the show, you probably saw I also have besides the Edison show, we're doing our Lewis and Clark show and Myths, Fables, and Tall Tales. So we have 3 shows up and running right now. So I hope you can use those. And that's about it. Still no more questions or no questions. I hope you guys are still out there. Thank you so much for having me in. And hopefully, like I said at the end of the show, we can see you next year in person. We'll get through this and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, Patrick. That was a wonderful presentation and we appreciate it. It was great to actually visit Edison's labs. And I want to thank all of our performers for being with us today. It's really fantastic to see the kind of the ways that you've figured out how to transition your live programs to live streaming. I'm going to share my screen now just to bring up the last piece of information. We will be doing one more showcase next Tuesday, again at 2:30, and that will conclude our Tuesday series of virtual arts and education showcases. We thank you all for spending time with us today. Please reach out to us if you have questions or if we can help in any way, with any programs for your schools. We are looking forward to being your partner. Thank you so much for joining us. And this concludes our program.